My horror story. Ghost photographs taken on a trip to Hawaii tell the story. 49 years old female. A true ghostly horror story from the state of Hawaii. Have you ever heard of ghost photography? For the younger generation today, ghost photos may not ring a bell. When I was a child, TV programs about ghost photos were often aired. I was very interested in scary stories, so I always watched ghost photo specials on TV programs as if I was devouring them. However, I myself had never seen any ghost photos in real life as a child. It never occurred to me that I would experience a scary story about ghost photography. What I am about to share with you is a true story of a frightening experience I actually had regarding ghost photography. About 20 years ago, I had my wedding on the island of Oahu, Hawaii. I had my wedding in Hawaii. My own father wanted to get married in Hawaii, which he loves, and I also wanted to take my mother and my husband's parents to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii together, myself, my husband, my parents, my father and mother, and my husband's parents, father-in-law and mother-in-law. Since the wedding in Hawaii was both a honeymoon and a family vacation, we were excited to stay at a first-class hotel and traveled to the Big Island of Hawaii as well as the island of Oahu. The wedding in Hawaii was a good filial duty. I still have fond memories of walking down the aisle with my father. My father's hobby was photography, so while we were in Hawaii, he took many pictures of my wedding, the hotel we stayed at, and the beautiful scenery of Hawaii. The camera my father used in Hawaii was not a digital camera, but an SLR camera that used old-fashioned film. 20 years ago, digital cameras were not yet mainstream, and film cameras were widely used. After returning from Hawaii, my father immediately went to a local photo shop to have his photos developed. A few days later, the whole family was in an uproar when they saw the many photos that my father brought back from the photo shop. In one of the photos taken by my biological father, my father-in-law's left leg, from the knee down, was missing. There were many photos of my father-in-law. In all of the photos of my father-in-law at the wedding, in the hotel where he stayed, sightseeing on the Big Island of Hawaii, on the beach at Oahu Island, and in restaurants in Hawaii, his left leg from the knee down was missing in all of the photos. Since I could not give my father-in-law the photo without his left leg, I decided to give my husband's parents only the photo without my father-in-law in it. I wondered, is it a sign that something bad is going to happen to my father-in-law that his left foot is missing from the photo? We were worried that something bad might happen to my father-in-law. Fortunately, my father-in-law is still alive and well and has never been seriously ill or injured. After the wedding in Hawaii, the months passed uneventfully for our entire family. So I had completely forgotten about the photo of my father-in-law without his left leg taken in Hawaii. One winter, about 10 years after the wedding, I received a shocking phone call from my mother while I was working at my office at the time. My father had been in a traffic accident. He is in stable condition, but I need you to come to the hospital as soon as possible. When I rushed to the hospital, my father was just about to enter the operating room. When we talked to the hospital staff, they told us my father was walking on the road when he was hit by a truck. He had a crushed fracture in his left leg and was scheduled to undergo surgery. He is scheduled to undergo surgery. Fortunately, my father survived and the surgery on his left leg was successful. However, my father's severely injured left leg was not restored to its original state, and he could walk only slowly, despite his best efforts at rehabilitation. Perhaps triggered by the weakening of his immune system due to the severe injury to his left leg, my father was later diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, and he passed away 5 years ago. After my own father passed away, I was sorting through his belongings and found many photos taken in Hawaii. Among them, I found a photo that did not show my father-in-law's left leg. It was then that it finally hit me. The photo that my father-in-law took in Hawaii 20 years ago, which did not show his left leg, was not a warning to my father-in-law. It was not a warning to my father-in-law, but a warning to my own father, the photographer of the photo. As in this case, it seems that sometimes a psychic photograph is taken not to send a message to the actual person in the photograph but to the person who took the photograph. In the case of this case, it is likely that my own father's guardian spirit was warning him through the psychic photograph about my own husband's serious injury to his left leg 10 years later during a trip to Hawaii 20 years ago. I regret to say that if we had been aware of this 20 years ago, my own father might not have died from the serious injury to his left leg. The above is my story of my real-life psychic experience. Nowadays, digital cameras and smartphones have become the mainstream, and there are fewer opportunities to take pictures with cameras that use film. Since digital cameras and smartphones have become mainstream, ghost photography seems to have become less common. If you try taking pictures with a camera that uses film, you may receive a message from your guardian spirit in the form of a ghost photo. My sister was one of the ghost photo takers who had one leg not captured on a school trip. I take it as a message from my guardian spirit and don't mind it.